Good morning, everyone. My name is Kumbuzile Mdlalose. My topic is ergonomics. I'm looking at the human factors in ramp-up. I'm furthering what my colleague mentioned regarding ramp-up, but then I'm focusing on the aspect of ergonomics, and then I go further and I focus on the cognitive ergonomics. Okay, this is my presentation outline, which I won't really go through. And then, okay, I went through literatures, and then I'll just mention a few. What was said is that the intent of implying ergonomics is to provide logical and suitable relationship among operators and their work. That was said by Dempsey. And then instead of many studies in recent decades about ergonomics, many factors in organization still cause musculoskeletal disorders and ergonomic costly diseases, which show that ergonomic changes have not achieved useful effectiveness in the producing environment. So the aim of my research is to develop a framework that will support fulfillment of cognitive ergonomics requirements to speed up production ramp-up. Okay, why ergonomics? With the industries increasingly requiring higher production rates and advances in technology, to remain competitive and stay in business as a result today's job will involve that frequent lifting and carrying and pushing and pulling of loads without help from other factors or devices, increasing specialization that requires the worker to perform functions, working more than 8 hours a day, and working at a quicker pace of work. Now, my research will be based on Hendrik's law, which states that for every major injury accident, there are 29 accidents that cause that minor major injury, and 300 accidents that cause no injuries. Literature review. Okay, ergonomics, human factors, and the physical risk elements have found to affect labor performance. Science Direct goes and speaks of the safety principles and the two main sources of the risk. Karen goes and speaks about how ergonomics can improve productivity and the quality by reducing workplace stresses. And then Zafir goes and speaks about what poor design of work would result in ergonomics. This is my research model. In my research model, I looked at all the human subsystems of ergonomics, and then I went and I gave a definition of each and the relevance of its improvement in the industry. And then from each, okay, the sub parts, meaning is resulting to the hardware, the environment, the cognitive, the work design, and the organization. Now, I'm now measuring in the cognitive ergonomics, because now you will realize that the organization and the environmental and the work design, they actually relate back to the cognition ergonomics. The purpose of cognition ergonomics is to actually make clear the nature of the human abilities and their limitations in information processing. Okay, may I go back and say that cognitive ergonomics speaks about the way the people think and the way they conceptualize and process information. So this means that it aims to design work conditions and environment that enhance cognitive functions and human performance at work, and as a consequence, they can improve productivity. Here I went and I spoke about the literature reviews regarding cognitive ergonomics. It summarizes what I've said. Galosky went and said that it is a discipline and practice for human system interaction capable with human cognition abilities and limitations. Arthur went and showed a positive correlation between cognition failures and occupational safety and concluded that workplace accidents were caused by inattention and mental errors. Mr. Allaire expressed in his article that cognitive errors can be used as an indicator of information processing capability, which can affect on the performance and the productivity activities. Okay, my research problem is as follows, that the high rate of failure of manufacturing initiative has also been associated with failures to accommodate human factors. Finding from the literature, it becomes clear observation of high prevalence of cognitive failures in the industry may provide reliable knowledge to predict safety and productivity performance. However, research is still limited to precisely foresee what can be done for preventing the industry accidents and injuries due to cognitive failures and disorders. Therefore, the challenges of cognitive ergonomics are to develop knowledge and methodologies for facilitating further to reduce and prevent accidents. These two models, okay, in this model I speak of what exactly ergonomics is about, which is basically it's when an individual receives a stimulus, it progresses to the short-term sensory store. From there, it is moved to a perception stage where it is then it will meet up with its incoming information, and then it is matched with prior knowledge or experience to similarizations. Excuse me. And then on the other side, I mentioned all the various factors that affect cognitive ergonomics. As I mentioned before, that environmental, job design, and work organization, they're all somehow linked back to this cognitive ergonomics. If I may mention that, for example, physical environments, when you look at like nuisance noise, it can be annoying and it can distract, causing lack of concentration and reducing productivity. And then the job design demands that exceed the individual's physical and mental capacity to meet them may result in human errors, stress injuries, and disrupting and delaying productivity. Looking at work organization, which I refer to the broader context of the work which is being done. The culture in which the way the workplace function as a whole, it is also influenced by factors such as the shift work and the extended working hours. Okay, sorry.
Continue.
Okay, I'll just continue quickly. This study justification is based on what was mentioned for wrap-up, but then I'm looking now at the human factors, and I looked deeper into the cognitive side of it. The aim of my study is to develop a framework that will explore the impact needs and to support fulfillment for cognitive ergonomic requirements to speed up production ramp-up. In order to achieve this aim, these are the objectives that will need to be met, which is to define the scope and the purpose of the cognition ergonomic framework, specify, collect, and develop required data, which still remains somehow a challenge, as my previous colleagues mentioned, design, validate, and verify appropriate system frameworks. That will include selecting the right building and the right system and building and validating the framework. Use the method to learn about the real manufacturing ergonomic program system behavior to find the best design alternative. Then I will develop appropriate experiments for studying the framework and analyzing the results. My approach is to have questionnaires, interviews, as this highly involves people. I cannot necessarily only rely on systems and processes that I'm given by the, for example, managers. I would actually need to interact with the operators personally, and also observation. Okay, I just mentioned how I'd be measuring the mental workload. Where it'd be my primary task measure would be to measure performance of a particular task under certain circumstances. And then the second one is to measure the performance of additional tasks to that primary one. And the subjective rating measures will include direct and indirect inquiries, which I mentioned, which would be the questionnaires. Thank you.